The organizations that will define the next decade won't simply be the smartest organizations, they'll be the ones that are the most adaptable. And adaptability is something that we can learn. And you can build it into the system that actually creates the conditions where people are ready, willing, and able, and even excited to change.
I'm just wondering how similar transformations are, depending on, I suppose, what you're transforming. And with that, AI is, of course, going to be on many CEOs' agendas. How fundamentally different would that transformation be from other kinds of transformation?
I think human beings are beautiful and unique. Thank goodness they are, because that's why I have a job. Transformations are equally beautiful and unique. And I say a little bit of that in jest because, of course, there are ways in which human beings are very similar. There are ways in which organizations are very similar. This is why benchmarks and best practices are somewhat useful. But acknowledging and taking time to learn about the ways in which an organization is beautiful and unique, the beliefs that people have, about it, the beliefs that they have about the things that will be difficult or easy, inside their organization, are really important. And I think that's a really important gesture of respect and empathy for anyone who is trying to make change happen, is to understand where are people actually beginning, because it will reveal to you something really obvious, which is that everyone is always starting from a quite a different starting point, than you. What's distinct and different about AI? Probably two things. Number one, I think, is the degree and intensity of change. I don't think it's hyperbole to say this is highly, highly likely to be the single most disruptive change that any one of the 5 generations currently in the workforce are likely to see in their working career. Number 2 is the way in which, it challenges or forces people to confront their identity. So very often in any type of organizational transformation, people are asking, will I have a job? What will I be doing? Who will I be doing it with? One of the things that is different in some AI transformations is people are asking, uh, if I don't write software code, who am I? What is valuable about being a person in this organization? At the same time as they are asking, what should I advise my child to do? Do I think my spouse or significant other will have a job? And so the complexity and intensity of the emotions that people will have around that are likely to be more significant than in other situations.
But with something like AI, and I feel we're in quite a nascent period here, what does the end point look like? Do we know? And does that make it more complicated?
No, I don't think we know. And I think what we're working through right now is actually understanding what does the change look like and how can we think about it in sort of chapters. And I think one of the elements that we talk about in the book that was really important to us is this idea of endings. And the important reason it matters so much is because humans need endings. And so one of the things we recognize and we hear from a lot of our organizations that we work with is my people are tired, right? The organization is fatigued. And now you're throwing all of this AI change in. And so, how can we actually get people to improve their ability to sort of take on change? And one of the things that we found is companies just keep adding on to levels of change. And I think about it now that we are actually in a change economy, meaning we need to constantly be changing. But that doesn't mean that you can't construct endings with natural periods to actually help people see the start and the end of something, which is actually going to improve their confidence and therefore their cognitive load to take on the next change. I think in the AI age that we're in right now, we can draw some inspiration, particularly as well as we think about how to make AI more successful from a story that we tell in the book. One of the things that happened during World War II is there was the US pilots were having a lot of accidents and they couldn't figure out why. And interestingly enough, the government went and hired someone called Paul Fitz, who is a psychologist. And what they found was it was actually the cockpit design of the airplane that was creating all the mistakes. There weren't natural human ways in sort of how they would use different parts in the cockpit. Think of all the buttons in different places. And so he actually redesigned the cockpit. And immediately what they found was an increase in sort of performance from the pilots. And so if we think about that story and we put AI into it, right now we're sort of giving people a tool and we're saying, use AI, right? Use it into your workflow. And what people are doing is sort of small changes. They're sort of playing with it. we actually need to think about how do we redesign sort of the cockpit with AI so that people can engage in it differently. And when you start to do that, you'll actually get people more engaged in the process versus just giving them the tool.
Julia?
If your assumption is that a car is just a faster horse, you miss a lot of the chances to think about the driver. We've spent a lot of the last 2 years hearing from senior leaders telling people to just get on the bus when it comes to AI. And I increasingly think that isn't very helpful advice. Number one, because people already know it. Our research suggests that close to 90% of employees know that they will need significant and substantial retraining, reskilling to stay competitive in their job, at their company, in the economy overall. But the thing that really bends me out of shape about it is the thing about buses is they usually have a large sign on the front that tells you where the bus is going. They have predictable and planned routes and stops along the way that tell people what to expect. So I'd love us to spend the next 6 months, the next 12 months being a little bit more introspective among leadership teams and asking, how well have we told people where the bus is going and what to expect along the journey?